bug spray, yes or no? Okay. Thank you, Daddy. I just didn't want to get to What is that being done? To the tricep.
Yeah, just storage. Yeah. So CP actually owns just out of town here about a mile. Then after that, it's a short line. Great West owns the rest of it. And that happens around Saskatchewan where they wanted to abandon the line, so a group of entrepreneurs buy the track and they look after shuttling producer cars or cars down to the smaller facilities down the line. And they'll tow them back up here, and then CP hooks on them and takes them up to the main line at Moose Jaw. And away they go.
And where do they go? We go to the Hudson Bay or the
Hudson Bay, I heard, isn't handling any grain this year.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
shut her down.
So it'll go to Vancouver or it goes to Thunder Bay. They're not giving me, this is the premier of Manitoba said they're not going to give me any more money.
What a country. Who voted away?
Anyway, so follow me, we'll go down here, we'll go to the auction mart, and we'll have a quick look at there before we hit the farm. All right, Dan. This is the Assiniboia livestock auction, as you might have noticed. So originally this was a roundhouse. Is this more of our gang? This was a roundhouse where they fixed trains in here.
Neat.
Jim actually was here when they were fixing trains. That's how old he is. So what happened, there's a guy named Don Beaton who auctioned cattle north of town out of a granary window with a corral about this big. And then he got a few bucks. He bought this place, converted to an auction, changed hands a few times. Rutledge has bought it and expanded the place quite a bit. And I don't know how loud to say this, but unbeknown to them, Nielsen Brothers, who own the big slaughter plant in Brooks there, quietly came out and bought all the wheat pool yards, like 5 of them in Saskatchewan. But before they did that, they bought this one, because it was the largest in Saskatchewan. Then they finished closing the deal with the other guys, so they had a monopoly on all the yards. So Maple Creek's still independent, Mankota down here is, but all the rest of them are Nielsen Brothers. So these guys, they aren't as much fun to deal with because the guy upstairs tells them what's supposed to happen. So what happens traditionally, so these guys, the sales they have in the fall, traditionally guys calve cows in the spring and graze them in the summer and sell them in the fall. Some guys will sell them all in the fall, some people will sell maybe just their steers, seems like a common practice in the fall. So in the fall, these guys run 3 sales a week and they will sell 4,000 head a sale. It's huge. And there's a sale ring in there, we'll go in. But I've been here when, in the old days, everyone would bring their cattle in to be marketed as just your cattle, 1 at a time, 5 at a time, however they match. They try to put them in groups. So now when you bring your cattle in, you drop them off down there and they sort them. They'll weigh them, and when they come to the ring, that's what they're doing in there now. They'll sort them in groups of depending on sex, color, and body type, age, whatever. They match them. So you'll have liner loads of cattle in pens back here. So to start the sale, the guy has this portable mic and he'll come to a pen of cattle. There's a load, 60,000 pounds, so 100, 600 pound cows, whatever, in this pen. They'll market them, yada, 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 yada. Somebody will buy them. Okay, this is your load. There's 4 more pens just like them. You want them or not at that price. So they'll sell, 500 head. Boom, move on to the next one. And then, so the smaller groups or summer loads, then they bring them through the ring. All the buyers come in, sit down at the ring like you've seen, and they bring them through and sell them like that. So I've sold cattle here lots of times, but the last few years I just have bred heifers to sell. So they bring them in here, they'll sort them into, you know, like body types and run them through the ring too. So that's sort of what happens here.
And then if you own 25,000 out of 60,000,
Oh yeah, you get your percentage.
you get 25, 60, whatever that
Yeah.
threshold.
You own so many pounds in that pen, so you might have 5 calves in that pen, you might have 50 in that pen, and you get paid on a percentage. So I kind of left that important part out. So
How do they keep track of where your cows are
they name them when they come in, and they call them when it's time for their sale. No, when they come in, your cattle are penned by themselves, and that's what they're doing now. Is they'll come through the ring one at a time. The guy will identify them, and there's a girl sitting there. I don't know if he or she will say what pen they go in. So they got the weight, your name, it's in that pen. And at the end of the day, you know how many pounds you have in that pen, and when they sell that pen, you get your share of that pen. So that's a pre-sorted sale. Something really done for years now, but they didn't used to do like this. The sales would go on here till 3 o'clock in the morning, whereas now they're on time. Yeah. Yeah. But you can take it. Good morning. Jim Richards.
They have chicken noodle soup. See the sign?
Mama, I'm excited to go to the fair. Oh my
Well, if you're serious, you get to sit in the front row. So go ahead and eat your
Hey, if you know a good butcher, we got a freezer still.
years ago and tried to find the hump where the sod shack was, but couldn't find it. So he came out and he settled down there with his family. His two sons, in this yard right here, one son was there and the other son was down on this. Charlie Seal was up here and Billy Seal was down there. So, and the sod shack is where the family was. So the story is that Art, from up on top where we'll be today, could see down into the Seal family yard, and that's where he found his wife. But when the Seal family came out, he thought he had the perfect place there because there was a slough there, he could shoot ducks, and there's so much land here, you know. But anyway, that's where the original sod shack was, down by that slough there, which would be really pleasant, I think, today. But with all the mosquitoes. No, you guys haven't been there. Oh, never mind. You'll find out later. So anyway, crop tour. So when I got out of high school, we were 50-50, which means you had 50% of your farm is fallow and you crop the other half. And we grew basically wheat, hard red spring wheat, and a little bit of durum and some barley. That's what we grew. And over the years, we started growing. Guys up north said we couldn't grow peas, we couldn't grow canola, it's too hot and dry here. But with the new seeding machinery we got now, moisture is everything in this fallacy triangle. That's the limiting factor. And with better seeding techniques and moisture preservation, we can grow a lot more crops, a lot more consistently than we could when you plowed the land all up. So right here is one of our fields. We have flax there. It's only the third year I've ever grown flax. Right here you can see where it's all gone down. This was the old yard site, which likely a little more fertility or whatever in the ground there and caused it to go down. Neighbors here, these are lentils. And we'll drive by some durum fields. So these will ripen up by themselves. You can see, look across the field, it's pretty uniform the way it's turning color there. Lentils have an indeterminate growth pattern. So you'll see some really ripe patches and some really green patches all in the same field. So to harvest those, you've got to desiccate them. So you put a Reglone on them, spray Reglone on them, and basically burst the cells and it dries them right up. So that's what you have to do to lentils. Some guys are doing it to other crops. Farther north, where their season is short, like our cousin Susan farm south of Lloydminster, they desiccate, I think, just about everything. Or they start their harvest, they do wheat and everything, and try to dry it down, shorten the season up so they can get it.
Is that different than Roundup?
They would do that with Roundup, yeah. Glyphosate.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy?
What's the Palliser triangle? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
What's
Well, what's his name? John Palliser? Frank Palliser? Came across here in the early days, and when he was doing his surveying, one of the first guys across here, and said this place is, no agriculture will happen here if she's too dry.
If you've never seen an actual Palliser triangle map, it's well worth looking up because you wouldn't believe the detail of the notes that this guy left on this big map. You know, trees here, rocks here, you know, good place to camp here, water here. Like he did the whole deal, You could go, still go camping today based on what that Palliser dude wrote down here.
1860s too.
Yeah, probably back earlier than that. Earlier than that.
I didn't know. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah. So,
There's actually a book called The Palliser Expeditions. Really great book. It describes, because they not only did mapping, but they were doing huge scientific experiments, all the barometric equipment and all that stuff.
They detailed where all the Indian bands were living.
and I'll grab a handful of this. I have my opinions about organic farmers. And I'll qualify that by saying I don't farm in southern BC or southern Ontario, but I know what goes on here.
You go then.
And it's not good. But anyway, we'll cover that in the article. Look at some machinery.
But I've seen the video.
Yes, thank you.
Can I go give it to Mom?
I'll go get you a lentil. Sam, you peel those apart. Oh, they're filled with seeds. Those are healthy for your body.
Go ahead, grab one.
Peel it apart?
Yeah. So those are the awns.
How much seeds do they have in them?
Go ahead, you go hang on to that one. So these are the awns, and you pull them apart, and you'll see, like this.
Oh.
You pull them apart, and you will see a seed in there.
Can you get one for Cecilia?
See, that's the seed right there. Yeah, you found one. So they'll get hard and they'll get golden, and that's when the combine goes in. So this is Durham here, and what do you make with Durham?
Tim Hortons.
Pasta. Oh, flour. So yeah, so a big part of our market is around the Mediterranean, and the U.S. takes a lot of our high quality Durham. But that's a real staple in this part of the country is this stuff, and you'll see lots of it. But as I'm standing here, I remember my dad, when he was, I think, 14, somewhere in there, he lived just north of our place as a kid, and he dragged a wooden granary with some horses down onto this field here, and he would plow this field, and at weekends or once in a while he'd go back home again and get a supply of food and stuff. But he lived in the granary here and plowed this field. And he said when he was doing this field, when you plowed a field, one horse walked in the furrow and the other horse up on top. And he was going along, and this one horse kept wanting to step out of the furrow. And he was wondering what's going on here. He leaned over, and there was a skunk going down the furrow. That was his first skunk he'd ever seen in his life, he said. That little story there. And I think when Art rented this, he took the crop share in some bags in his truck to whoever owned this land. That was the crop share, a few gunny sacks full of grain. So pretty desperate times.
And now I was watching Transmonder on his combine yesterday. He was doing 900 bushels an hour. So that would be like just a few minutes of operation of the combine today would be everything that came off this whole field.
Wow.
So that's a field of ours too. That's peas there, and that's we're working on that right now. We got one combine died on us yesterday, so it's in town, and hired guy and his son are going to work on this one today. So on top of this hill here, when my dad was a young guy, he came over to see his cousin Elgin, and they got a pick and shovel, and they were going to dig up some Indian graves that were up on top of this hill, and Billy Seal suggested perhaps that wasn't a good idea. So that little project that they had his kids ended. So pretty unique piece of country.